Thank you for inviting me. I'm not a specialist in this area, but I'm worried about the number of actors engaged in this conflict situation. You have the UN has been involved, the Africa Union has been involved, the United States now is involved, France is involved, Morocco, Algeria. So what you have is, and Israel, of course. Then you have now a very complicated situation. There's so many actors, and all of them have their own specific interests. The interesting question now is how do we remove conflict and how do we enter into a peaceful direction? How do we bring that about? What you see is that really is not happening. What the UN has done, the United States does it differently. And the Africa Union says that the Western Sahara is a part of a member of the Africa Union. And when this happened, Morocco withdrew. Now, Morocco has been asked to join again in 2017, and they have agreed to join the Africa Union. Still, the Sahara, Western Sahara is also part of it. So what you have is a very complicated situation. What we need is a complete paradigm shift. How do we remove conflict in Africa without getting major external actors like France and America, really affecting the way it should happen? And I think the Israel and Palestine issue is also critically important. Something has to be resolved also there. How do you bring that resolution to? I mean, how do Israel and Palestinians also, manage their conflict too? There must be a solution. So what you have now is a situation where the former, well, a lot of the Arab countries, Bahrain, United Arab Republic, Israel, Egypt, and all of them are now Morocco are now creating diplomatic relations with Israel, and at the same time they say they still support also Palestine. So how do you do this kind of very strange behavior? I don't understand it, to be honest with you. So I think what we need is a complete different approach where resolutions have to be made, where people should not be suffering, and so on. The interesting question now is with the Western Sahara, where the Polisario and others have been running it, and there is also an ethnic group which is not Arabic but more Sahara people they are called, and they are more like African. What you have is a situation where in that region you have uranium, you have many resources, rich resources, and so all external actors also are interested in the resources. So what we need is how do we this rich resource part of Africa, all over Africa, we have so much resources. Why are we always targeted by outsiders, and how do we deal with this situation? Is something I think we need to uh, really genuinely try to understand and resolve. That's what I think my suggestion is.
Professor, isn't this a situation where we need to get involved as the African Union? The AU needs to get involved in this change, and specifically get involved in this situation in the Western Sahara region.
Yes, I think the Africa Union has to be involved because now you have two members, the Morocco and the Western Sahara. Both are members now. But at the same time, Morocco says the Western Sahara is part of Morocco kingdom. Yeah, King Mohammed VII is six, I think, is running it. So they are saying like that. So how could you have two members, yes, of the Africa Union,
Yeah.
and one is claiming that it's part of it. So it's a complicated situation, and I think what we need is the Africa Union has to also resolve this. It's if they are saying that the Western Sahara is an independent member, and Morocco is also an independent member, they must make a deal where the relationship between Morocco and the Western Sahara is completely resolved. If that is not resolved, the two memberships are not going to function quite well. What it may mean is that even when they have meetings, they'll be fighting, even in when they all represent. So it's not good for the African Union. Again, the African Union has to really be done properly, and also the leadership. Both the African Union leader now is South Africa is the leader now, and at the same time, uh, the one who's running it, Baka, those people, they need to also to be serious about how they should manage the membership and also the relationship, how they should also manage the conflict among leadership. The idea we're all having is that as Pan Africans, we want African unity. If we're trying to create African unity, why are we fighting by borders others cynically drew, and then to defend them? Why couldn't be a new relationship where even you can create as many states as you can, but at the same time have a system where you we call it an African federal system, confederate, whatever it is that we finally agree that as Africans where we have a unity. Why can't we go through that direction and not continue to you know to continue to do all the conflicts that have been imposed on us, and instead of removing it and going beyond it, we're still in it and we're still suffering. And I think this has to be resolved. If this is not resolved, it's a major issue, and it makes African Union very weak. African Union must be strong, and the strength must come by also really also creating very very strong leaders also that run it very well. And the problem we have now is that we still have the francophone, anglophone, lusophone, levantine phone, meaning Arab phone. All these phones are there. The Africa phone is not there very much. The love of Africa, Africaphilia must guide us. If that happens, we will not have all these conflicts. We should get out of these conflicts completely. And I think this is a very interesting issue now. What you are now having is that all other external interests are coming. Now, Israel has its own interest with its conflict with the Palestine, and then they come in, and then you have America, you have even all other external actors, France and all of them, and then when they come in, the Africa's conflict continues rather than resolving it. We need to find a solution, a very good way to resolve all these major conflicts. The United Nations also has to resolve the Palestine and Israel situation, all right, very much, because I think it's not, there should have been a very good solution. I mean, Israel also went through very difficult Holocaust, many things. Then I think there should be countries that, people that have gone through that must find a very good value to see other people who are also, who may be in a difficult situation, how they can create a very good, inclusive, and accommodative solution. I think that's also is something they need to resolve. There must be some solution also there that they instead of fighting also there should be a way that they should come together, and then this also the different countries that have not been with them. For example, Egypt is now with Israel, and what is it doing? It also has a problem with us in Ethiopia, the Grand Renaissance Dam,
Yeah.
and now they are trying to also even try to win Israel to support them. Things like that are happening. So you have very selfish agendas and selfish interests guiding everybody, which is not good. We need to go beyond this. We need to make a total paradigm shift from conflict to peace, stability, and development, innovation. That's when we should be getting into, and some form of arrangement where everybody is actually included in a way. In the African context, I really think it's so important. The only way we could defeat all the colonial time is actually unity. If we don't unite, we still will be always in the colonial mindset. That mindset has to change completely. That is the time of the kind of things I hope you also, the media, should also promote. Thank you very much.
All right, Professor, we'll have to leave it right there. Researcher Professor Mammo Muchie speaking to us about Morocco and Israel agreeing to full diplomatic relations. Morocco is the fourth Arab nation to do so, and the USA has since responded, giving their stamp of approval as well. So a big thank you to researcher Professor Mammo Muchie joining us, talking to us about this new action that's taken place, a big move in the Western Sahara region.